Double the time, fighting as a team. I bring hell from below, I leave you begging, begging for more. Together we are heroes, we are unstoppable, unstoppable.
Now rockin' with the legendary stunt, and it ain't over until we say it's done. You know what it is. Let's go, baby.
You know I came up from nothing. It's the sun out, you know I ain't stressing. I know you already know what it takes, so follow my lead, let's go. We can roll with the punches. Legends, we fight to the dawn. Heroes all along, don't have to do it alone. Nah. 515 party victory lap. Find our enemies, maniac, yeah. We're looking out for the world. Everyone, you know they heard stop. Deal with the team, don't stop. Fiery heart of a dragon, attack is unlocking. If we stick together, we'll end up on top.
In every challenge, the level of a queen, but we double the damage when we're fighting as a team. Don't have to go solo, cause you're not alone. Together we are heroes, yeah, we are unstoppable, unstoppable. Yeah, we winning right now. We're taking all of them down to the ground. Together we are legendary heroes, yeah, we are unstoppable, unstoppable. Yeah, we winning right now. Make the enemies down. They are heroes.
Fight of our lives, gotta survive. Welcome to
Do you want to make friends with Nana?
No one can escape my iron fist!
For honor!
So if you turn your back, I make sure I back every challenge. The level of a queen, double the damage when we're fighting as a team. I bring hell from below. I leave you begging for more. Together we are here.
now rockin' with the legend. You're now rockin' with the legendary stunt, and it ain't over until we say it's done. Let's go, baby.
You know I came up from nothing. It's the sun out, you know I ain't stressing. I know you already know what it takes, so follow my lead. Let's go. We can roll with the punches. Legends, we fight to the dawn. Heroes all along, don't have to do it alone. Nah. 515 party victory. Find our enemies, maniac, yeah. We're looking out for the world. Everyone, you know they heard stop. Deal with the team, don't stop. Fiery heart of a dragon. Cause unlocking, if we stick together, we'll end up on top.
The level of a queen, but we double the damage when we're fighting as a team. Don't have to go solo, cause you're not alone.
As early as this, they were getting vision, yes, but the invades.
Alos ngayon.
Alam ko kung saan ito nagkagaling, Chantel.
Lagi sinasat, going back to our thought, for RSG, hindi din sila nagko-commit sa may bottom lane, kaya nagiging effective pa rin yung laning dito ni Kosei, and that is a fast turtle secure by RSG, now leading at 1.7k in terms of gold.
Ito yung sinasabi natin sa mga ginagawa ni Nats kanina pa.
Si Light, nagse-stretching, wala atang mahuhuli, pero kukuha rin. Mabawi si
Pakiramdaman
Kosei. Nakikiramdam lang naman. Mukhang nag-aabang lang. Si Mycophobia, alam niya rin na posibleng nandun nga si Light. Nag-check din siya ng mga bush. Hindi basta-basta lumalabas yung next play Evos dahil sa ginagawa ni Nats kanina, Chantel OSX. Kaya nase-secure nila yung ganitong gold lead eh.
Kumbaga, that's the beauty in it. Hindi sila nagko-commit, pero naggugulo sila.
Ooh, Light! Kasama si Aqua. Labanan ng tubig at si Aqua ang mananaig doon sa pick-off onto the jungler. May Hepsis na dito, si H2O, top lane turret has been destroyed mula sa side ng RSG. Sakto lang yung ikot.
Medyo nahirapan dun sa H2 makaalis dahil sa bouncing ball na ginawa ni Light. It's all about decreasing the control sa mapa na pwedeng ibigay ng next play Evos onto the teammates because ngayon ang priority is to take down this bottom lane turret.
Kumbaga parang ang ginagawa ngayon ng RSG, lagi may nakahiwalay doon sa may top kanina, yung binagrisanti na 3 players. But looking at the itemization, 3.9k ng gold agad dito ni Kosei. So imagine the damage with this item. So with this one, I kind of feel like for next play Evos, pwede sila mag-focus on other lanes as well. Kaysa naman nandun lang din sila always on the gold lane. Pwede sila mag-surprise play. Speaking of surprise play, uy munti ka na.
Nakakataas pa rin si Aqua, si Light. Papasok siya pero hindi niya naman naabutan na kagad. Yelly Haze with a real world manipulation. Masyado na pasobra si Light at makakukuha na ng next play Evos ng isa ang RSG. Pero si Nats patuloy pa rin sa pagbibigay ng pressure. Turtle is spawning in 17 seconds and mukhang yung next play Evos dito yung mas may advantage. Kulang yung RSG.
Maga parang sa RSG dito, kailangan kasi din nila si Light in terms of the vision. Nakita naman natin yung possibility for him na mahuli yung isang Fanny. Now for next play Evos, pwede silang magsama-sama as of the moment. Isang gamit dito ni James with the flame shot, tas diretso demonic force. So RSG, ang ginagawa nila ngayon is paisa-isa silang pumupunta sa mga posisyon kung saan sila yung at advantage. So we could see movement now on the gold lane dahil nandito pa rin si Mycophobia, pero take note of the position of Demon Kite.
Well, speaking of advantage dito as well, they could either trap next play Evos right now. Hindi nakita ni H2 na nandiyan si Demon Kite.
Demon Kite, alam mo yung fended play mula kay Mycophobia na finlicker niya. Hinatak si Demon Kite at si Aqua. May follow-up pa na ginawa. Ito yung counterplay ng RSGPH. Kaso nga lang may bawi pa rin. Kosei is the way at tuloy pa rin ang bakbakan. That is a 2-for-3 trade, definitely in favor on next play Evos. Naku yung flame shot.
Sumakto pa yung flame shot. Mycophobia may bawi nga ng sagot para sa sagot. 3 for 3 para sa ating teams at diretsong next play Evos on this take of the turret. And right now, mararamdaman natin that the pressure is...
Isa na naman ang nakuha mula sa next play Evos. They need the vision right now dahil si Light on most parts nasa bush. Walang information na ako na next play Evos kung saan papunta ngayon, kung anong lane na ipa-flank nila.
Kita natin on our instant replay yung naging moments doon sa my bottom lane. It was a nice na pag-attempt for H2 na makaalis sana, but Demon Kite was there, knockout strike, but look at that. Very smooth na ultimate from Mycophobia, and imagine the seconds of delay. After that, may Don't Run Wolf King. Literally, don't run.
Walang makakatakas. Mycophobia, he needs to get more vision for the team right now. Kasalukuyang na-delay actually ni Light ang progress dito ni H2. Kasi kanina, we were talking about advantage. 2-level gap. Demon Kite and H2O right now. Dahil lang sa vision na Light na ginagawa niya kanina.
Kumbaga parang dito kasi sa side ng RSG, alam nila na yung strength talaga ng hero ni H2 is with the buff. Kailangan niya talaga ng buff or else mag-iiba yung kanilang playstyle. Now, for RSG, They know that Tefani could go for a split push kapag ka nahirapan mag-buff.
Nahuli! May shotgun na nakaabang, yakap lang sapat na. Sabi dito ni Light, wala si Mycophobia. Wala ditong taga-setup mula sa Next Play Evos.
Ang kailangan gawin ngayon ng Next Play Evos is to somehow delay yung ginagawa ng RSG against them. But if we talk about delay, let's look at Nuts. Oy, walang boy
Uy, si Donut!
Muntik na naka-jumpstart si Demon Kite. Muntik na doon mag-commit, pero si Nats nandun. Hindi nawawala sa aksyon.
Laging nandun sa eksena.
Kung may level 1 at Lord, may level 2, may level 3, laging may stages para dito kay Donut. But that was a nice escape para sa kanya. And this is massive. Gold lead for the side of RSG. 6 point, almost 7K. Now that we are at the 9-minute mark, so kumbaga parang very limited yung nagiging movement dito, knowing na yung positioning din ng isang Claude is very crucial in terms of team fights. Lord will march in on the bottom lane. We have another item for Demon Kite and that is the Bloodlust Axe. Saktong-sakto dahil siya din yung nagpa-front from time to time. Kumbaga meron sila ditong sarili movement with Light and the jungler.
And also, the advantage ngayon ng RSG, ako na-notice nyo, they're always forming a triangle na tatrap yung backline din ng NXPE. One thing to consider also, first item ni Light is Immortality. So one thing na advantage na dito kay Mycophobia, yes, kailangan niya kumuha ng vision. Kaso, sa depensa na ngayon na Dominance Ice, kaya ba to sa damage na meron ngayon ng RSG?
Kumbaga parang more on physical damage na ngayon yung side ng RSG. So yeah, yung itemization dito ng tank for Next Play Evos is medyo hindi pa kumpleto. More on the physical defense ang kailangan, pero nabibuild pa lang is more on the magic defense. So Next Play Evos has to hold on to their turrets para somehow masustain nila yung damage na binabato ngayon ng RSG.
Grabe yung map control ng RSG. Actually, hindi nila binibigyan ng purple buff itong si H2O. Yun yung disadvantage nila pagdating sa Clash kasi hindi makaka-unli cables eh. Hindi mataas ang mobility ni H2O dito dahil nga doon sa ginagawang pag-agaw ng RSG. Basag ang inhibitor turret sa may bandang ibaba. And the RSG still on control of the map na hindi nila pinapalabas sa base ang Next Play Evos.
Not to mention kanina, even to the XP lane, medyo nabully nga dito ni Nats on how to cut the lanes all throughout against James na sinusubukan kumuha ng minion waves. Kaso ang naging problema dito, hindi lang siya nagka-cut lanes. Mismo yung vision na bibigay na sa RSG. And that's the thing, na nakakuha sila ng magandang calls on who to attack and who to delay.
Tsaka yung vision niya kasi hindi siya basta-bastang vision, sobrang lalim kumbaga. Yung future na pinapakita niya, future tuloy kasi vision. Yung vision na pinapakita niya, napakalayo na. Imagine, yung lane niya is nasa first tier turret pa kanina, pero yung pwesto niya is yung pwesto ngayon ni Kosei. So imagine yung sakop, tapos yung magiging positioning ni Light is on the other side. Kaya kanina si Light nandun din sa may bottom lane, kaya si Kosei hindi na masyadong, kumaga hindi na siya nag-aalala sa gold lane at early part of the game. As to why naging ganito rin kalaki ang ating gold lead, and that is the BFB for Demon Kite. So the more that he uses his skill, movement, speed, physical defense plus magic defense,
Kita
ready
mo
to
to,
fight.
Ready to fight at mo ready nga to engage ang RSG. But look at this tinan mo yung mapa kung paano nila kinokontrol dito yung buff na kailangan na kunin ni H2. Always trying to get in with the bait.
Nakadalawa eh, may mga bantay.
Oh, tsaka yung bantay niya pa dito, kung bagay binabantayan ni Light, yun yung naka-advance. So, ibig sabihin, if ever man, shoot talaga yung pagka-bitaw.
Sakto. Sakto yung tutok. Kasi isipin mo na lang yung crowd control na meron ng isang Kufra. Pag meron siyang natalunan, meron siyang nayakap, may follow-up agad eh. If wala yung sniper, andyan yung shotgun, so libreng Lord para sa RSG, and that is a Luminous Lord. Palaki lang ng palaki yung gold lead nila, pero yung Next Play Evos, humihinga pa. Nakadepensa, nandito pa rin sa base. Kaya pa bang depensahan to?
Well, they need to have the defense right now. Sa nakikita natin, the only reason why Next Play Evos is not committing to any steals sa mga objective na yon is because of the damage kung meron ng RSG. Even looking at Kosei right now, this is a 2-level gap against Donut. May Wind of Nature siya, meron siyang Malefic Roar, and also Blade of Despair. Physical damage immunity plus physical penetration.
Oh, tapos meron pa siyang Hunter Strike.
Ang daming pwedeng matunaw dito sa the Next Play Evos. So ngayon they're trying to get in with another vision or kumbaga chance for the objectives. Pero ang nangyayari, kahit objective nila mismo sa kampo nila, nagiging bait.
At saka yung positioning kasi dito ng Next Play Evos, alam mo na kung saan manggagaling. 'Di ba? Yung gusto ng Next Play Evos, surprise plays with the Fanny and all, isang malaking ultimate from Mycophobia, tapos diretso kill. Kaso nangyayari, alam na ng RSG since restricted na yung movement nila. But Lord is on the bottom lane. By the way, kailangan depensahan to na Next Play Evos.
Ito na nga, si Nat sinusubukan ulit. Trying to spam in Donut. May Lord ang RSG. Oh, they're still trying to do. Hindi pa rin nababawasan.
Disiplina pa rin.
Nagre-regen lang si Nuts. Minamama lang niya dito, yung base.
Pahit lang ng pahit eh, no? Nag-aantay sila ng magandang setup coming in from light, pero nagawa nila yung job nila eh, which is to destroy the inhibitor turrets. Yung dalawang natitira, basag na nila. So yung pressure ngayon ng Next Play Evos is lalo pang mas tumaas. So yung RSG, mag-aantay lang sila ng next Lord, sasabayan nila mamaya. Mukhang mahirap namang kumontest sa sitwasyon na ganito kasi hindi nga talaga mahawakan ni H2O yung purple buff.
Kumbaga parang magiging contest na lang dito for next play EVOS is biglang papasok si H2 tas sa Retribution. So yeah, for next play EVOS dito, ang pinaka kailangan nilang gawin is to somehow mag-bait sila against RSG na magkaroon ng team fight tapos sila yung magka-counter engage with the Blazing Duet. Take note na meron na ring damage dito si Donut since this is 14 minutes of our game. So kahit si Claude kasi kahit mga 2-3 items lang, goods na eh. Kanina meron pa siyang Wind of Nature. So grabe, yung grabe yung
Kumalahati ka agad ang buhay ni Miko Phobia.
Isipin mo, tang iyon, pero si Miko mapipilitan mag-back away mula lang doon sa balang binitawan ni Kosei. Pero hahabol din si H2O, makakatakas si Aqua. Depensa na naman sila, staying at their side. Nandito lang sa base habang yung RSG isinesecure na yung position onto the Lord Pit.
We're seeing ngayon ang instincts ni Miko Phobia is to make a play. Kaso ang problema dito, he's targeting, kailangan nalagpasan ng tatlong tao dito. Si Light, si Nuts at si Aqua. Although mahuhuli na yun, kaso makakatakas. There's two members na kailangan ma-pick off, kaso nasa backline yun eh.
Oo.
At saka sinabi mo
The
dito,
only thing to reach,
makakatakas.
si H2 na pwede mang-ambush dun sa likod.
Tsaka kung makakatakas din kasi dito yung side ng RSG, mahirap pa rin for Miko Phobia gawa nung dalawang player yung naka-Hunter Strike kanina. So yung movement speed,
Mas mabilis.
di ba parang
Nade-delay.
nade-delay ka. The more that you want to penetrate the defense, the more na parang hindi mo kayang i-sustain at the more din na mawawala yung HP mo. So it could be a double-edged sword for next play EVOS. Now the crucial part is, if you wanna contest the Lord, yung position ng players ng RSG is sobrang complicated for next play EVOS to just go and have a vision.
Hirap. They can't risk it right now for next play because if ever, is either isa mawawala, kung didepensa sila, yun na magiging problema na.
Pag nag-attempt sila talagang umontest, pwedeng mawalan sila ng miyembro and madiretso ng RSGPH yung base nila. So ang kanilang desisyon sa ngayon, mas okay nang kumpleto tayo, harapin natin yung Lord na paparating, kahit sabay-sabay sila, i-hold pa rin natin yung ground.
Well, all team comeback play set up ang pwedeng magawa dito ng next play EVOS. Pero yung Lord nga ng RSG, muntik na ito kumalahati ang buhay ni James. Ito na ba? Dediretso na ba ang Raiders sa base ng next play EVOS?
May real world manipulation para sa depensa pero mukhang matatakasan ng isa. Andito na yung mga dakdak coming from James. Batali sa kill coming from Kosei. Si James dito ang may iiwan. Andito pa rin yung Lord. H2O. Nais pang dumipensa pero si Nuts nagpapahabol lang. Kosei with a flicker in. Hahabulin nga ba nila? May Lord pang natitira. May minion waves na paparating. Pero ang ganda ng depensa ng next play EVOS. Hahabulin. Napakasakit.
Malapit na,
Nakaramdam si
muntik
H2O.
na.
Going for the base lock. RSGPH. Ang unang makakapuntos.
Na-invade na nga ang unang puntos ng RSG against next play EVOS. Grabe namang laban na yun. Hindi man lang nakalabas ang next play to get in with the trade of objectives.
Talk about control. That is RSG Philippines against next play EVOS. There were moments na nakikita natin that next play EVOS wanted to go for a team fight, but at the same time, RSG was there. They were ready to give that Fanny na second time pa lang na open on this league. And with that boxing ball kanina from Light, yung namatay si H2.
Yes.
It started there. Medyo na-restrict yung rotation.
Oo, na-restrict.
Nailang.
Na-delay.
Na-delay. It's all about delays.
Two-level gap yun, Ate Chantel.
And pagka yung mga moments kasi na gano'n, if ever nagkaroon ng delay sa mga assassin heroes, yun yung disadvantage sometimes. Kasi yung timings in terms of the buff, tapos yung rotation din ng inyong tank. Kasi maganda yung nangyari dito for RSG. And talk about vision, yung sinabi natin kanina, lalim ng vision ni Nuts, kung covered lahat ng area. Yung position na dapat may vision for Kosei na bibigay ni Light. Yung gusto namang vision ng RSG on the top lane or manggagaling sa XP lane, diretso hanggang buff ni H2, covered ng isang player lang, which is Nuts.
Si Nuts, well, the bully onto the XP lane also. dalaway na delay doon H2O and also si James. Nagkulang sa depensa. hindi makapag-hold sa damage na binigay ng side ng RSG. So ang binibigay nila yung mindset sa next play Evos na sige babawi kayo, kaso you're also going into a trap na pwede ka dito makuha.
Nakuha din kasi talaga ng RSG yung tamang timpla nila doon sa draft eh. Nung nakita nila, nag-first pick Fanny, parang alam na nila kung ano isasagot nila. Kunin natin yung Kufra on the third pick kasi ito yung magandang sagot talaga. Matagal na yan eh. Pag may Fanny, Kufra talaga. Yung bouncing ball niya lang, nakita naman natin kung gaano kahirap yung game na yon para sa isang Fanny. And yung burst damage pa ni Aqua, ang dami nilang follow-up eh. Andyan yung Beatrix, sobrang kati dito ni Kosei na lagi niya napapauwi yung mga miyembro eh. Kaya hindi full on 5v5 lagi.
Yeah.
Lagi may umuuwi, tapos baback up na lang.
Tsaka imagine mo, habang nagti-teamfight, syempre ang dami mo na nakikitang effects. Hindi mo makikita yung payong dun sa baba. Diba? So kaya
Silent.
yung burst niya, again, silent maneuvers of our game. Same with Yelihis, ang ganda rin ng performance niya. But yeah, sa sobrang daming frontliner for RSG, yung mga damage dealers, hindi na masyado napag-focusan.
Yeah.
There was a moment wherein there was a player from Next Play Evos that wanted to go and hunt Aqua. Kaso si Aqua, yung hero niya, meron pang sariling pantakas. So, yun yung, kumbaga, na-secure lahat ng RSG, yung element for them to be able to pull off that kind of lineup.
Well, speaking of thing about lineup, ang delay lang ni one more point for Nats. Laging pinapapunta na sa kanya yung 3 members ng Next Play Evos to the point na yung gold lane nila, si Kosei mismo is just freely farming on the waves. Kaya mismo dumating na yung point, I don't know if 8 minutes or 10, na ang sakit na niya. Kumakalahati kagad yung buhay dun ng members ng Next Play.
Ang ganda na binanggit ni OSX dito yung oras kasi kapag makunat na agad yung explain mo at that time or hindi na siya nababurst agad, ibig sabihin, sobrang ganda na naging laning.
Well, sobrang naging nagandang laning. Ang sagot ng RSG, it was vision, control, and delay. Pero let's give it up to our analyst, Renmar Santa Cruz, to break down the first game.
OSX said it. Vision, control, and delay. That was the story of this game. And it's also this. On the English stream, that's our name for Naths when he has that really dominant performance. It was Nasty. And it was the Uranus picked last by RSGPH that really turned the tides and the story of this game. Again, welcome to the analyst stand for the Filipino and English stream. My name is Reptar, and let's break down what happened there. So, with the first pick Fanny of Next Play Evos, what RSG responded with and what they wanted to do was, okay, let's try to draft around the idea of stopping that Fanny. Of course, there are other things you have to take into consideration. Most likely, NXP would pick up the Claude, which they did with their second pick. So RSG probably kept it in the back of their heads. We have to delay, get vision, and then we'll execute. So with that Uranus pick going up against the Phoveus, first off, you get a Uranus pick that picked up the Dominance Ice right away, meaning that he'll be able to be a nuisance. It'll be hard to get away from the Uranus. You're reducing healing, and you also get good cooldown reduction and a good amount of mana, plus 500 with the Dominance Ice. So the Uranus's job, Nath's job was don't go home. What you're gonna do is invade the purple buff of the Fanny over and over again, which we saw early on. Although NXPE, yes, they were able to get the first turtle of the game with a great play by H2. That's where we started to see the glimpses of what RSG are really great at when it comes to objective takes. As early as the first turtle, we already saw Aqua on the Kagura place himself closer to the enemy's purple buff just to pick off James's Phobius. Now, we really didn't feel Aqua that much in the game, but it was a total team effort by RSGPH in delaying and shutting down the Fanny and the Claude specifically. And also the Phoveus. The Phoveus had a tough time here. It was interesting because RSG decided to focus their initial ganks into the XP lane of James, meaning that they got to maximize the gold there, and they got to delay the eventual scaling as well of the Phoveus. But the Uranus really was the biggest problem here. When you show your Eve, when you show your Claude, and when you show the Fanny, you pick up something like the Uranus that even with just one item early on can already be difficult to take down if you don't have the necessary burst damage yet. Eve will take a long time until you can really feel the damage of that hero. And sadly, we never really got to feel it because RSG just built up a massive lead. Next Play Evos, though, had moments of brilliance as well, which we're gonna highlight later with One of them being Mikophobia's beautiful ultimate counter play against RSGPH. But I think for everyone that watched that game, the story was very clear. Because of the shutdown onto the XP lane, because of Next Play EVOS not being able to take down Kosei, who was taken very good care of by Light and Aqua, and of course, by the fact that they were able to delay that Fanny, the constant invades, the constant visions. It was difficult for Next Play EVOS to find their groove and to find their positioning, because also they were up against a Paquito onto the hands of Demon Kite, who played aggressively as well. It was a low kill score game, but it was a game that meant that each kill ended up becoming incredibly impactful that could potentially turn the tide even early on. As you see there, and as I mentioned earlier, first turtle of the game went to NXPE, but at around the 3-minute mark, all the way until the 7-minute mark, we started to see there the gold just slowly going onto the side of RSG and just never letting go. This is the moment where they were constantly invading. As early as this, they were getting vision, yes, but the invades were here. The delay was here. And the key to RSG winning the game was in these moments of the game. So you can see eventually all the major objectives would go to the side of RSGPH, because again, it was so difficult for NXPE in this game. It wasn't impossible. And with their lineup, if RSG didn't play the way they did, although it would be surprising if they didn't play the way they did, NXP would have had the space. With that Fanny being able to just go around and freely rotate around the map, if that happened, and then the rest of NXPE being able to teamfight under the Eve and with the Eve along with their Claude, very doable. But sadly, RSG just did not give that opportunity. So let's go here. See here, Demon Kite picks off H2 first. Mikophobia, one of the prettiest Ruby ultimates I've seen. But it's here that you see the glimmer of potential onto the lineup of NXPE, their counterplay. Yes, it was RSG who started that, but NXPE, in that situation, they had their Eve in a great position to catch members of RSG, so they could counter around that, even though at that point, RSG had around a 3,000 gold lead. In those moments, NXPE fans got to see, hey, we can do this. Like, there's still a possibility to get back into this. But RSG also just showed that, yes, NXP, you guys can counter, but with great positioning ourselves, we'll be able to counter as well with our higher damage dealing heroes early on. And of course, who else is going to be MVP? It's Nafs 202 on the Uranus, and with that first build dominance ice, at one point in the game, we already saw close to a 4,000 gold lead that Nafs had over Yelly Hayes' Eve. Eve, the magic damage dealer of the team, is usually what you look for in terms of who can shut down the Uranus alongside the marksman of your team. That was a signal in itself just how bad the situation already was for NXPE and how well RSG controlled this game. At that point, he had Dominant Size, Enchanted Talisman, Oracle. Once he built that Blade Armor, the chances of Next Play EVOS coming back in this game were relatively slim. NXPE though, credits to them, they had great defensive plays. They were able to hold on long enough to get another chance at just holding on to this game even longer, maybe find a comeback. But credits to RSG for never letting go of that control once they really found it. Once they felt they were in the groove. Once they felt that their XP laner could barely be stopped, that their opponents barely had the damage, that they knew they were taking care of their gold laner, Kosei, well, that Light and Aqua could cover and punish if needed. RSG was just completely clicking across all cylinders. It's one of those dream games that you want to have if you're having your own ranked games when you're playing Mobile Legends Bang Bang. Going back to the highlights, everything that I mentioned, we're just going to be seeing again. The early game pressure of RSG. Next Play EVOS utilizing their Fanny to get that first objective of the game, right on the money there. And with RSG, see, after that, Nafs immediately went to the purple buff already and just kept getting information. That was the constant theme of the game. And at that point, they didn't have the damage to take down that Uranus. Building up the Dominance Ice right away, you get that 10% cooldown reduction, faster access to his skills, and he's also reducing the damage that he can get from his opponents. And here, also, we got to see another glimmer of hope for Next Play EVOS. If they fight under the ultimate of the Eve, RSG, it'll be very difficult for them. That was the highlight that we saw earlier, and that's what happened there that moment with Yelly Hayes getting a great ultimate in as well. But RSG just were finding the right spots in the map to position themselves, to get those pickoffs, and to stop any momentum whatsoever and any chance for Next Play Evos to turn this game around. Because if Next Play Evos found a big team fight win, they could potentially have extended this game maybe 10 or 5 to 10 more minutes. And in MLBB terms, that's like a lifetime already, and it might have been a different story. But again, RSG knew their strengths, they knew their opponent's weaknesses and what they can capitalize on, and they said, you know what, I feel like not letting go. We're just gonna win this game 1 right away. So, who's gonna win game number 2? That is the biggest question right now. Don't forget to keep making noise for your team. Keep showing your support. Let's go back to the casters.
Maraming salamat sa malapit na analysis, Reptar. That's one of the things na tinitingnan natin kanina. It was nuts. We've gone nuts sa laban na yun. Kasi sa nakikita natin, talagang ang dami niyang naggawa dun for the vision and delay. That was the total answer talaga sa the Next Play Evos. Knowing na may Fanny, they were aware of the circumstances kung hindi nila madedelay yun.
Tsaka yung ginawa talaga ni Nuts dito, sobrang laking factor for RSG. Pero pag-iisipin mo, if you will focus on Nuts, ang dami naman mapupunta mga hero sa ibang players.
Oo. Pag tinarget ban mo, no, yung Uranus or Agawin
Tsaka
naman.
parang minsan lang kasi talaga tayo makakita ng XP heroes na ifo-focus ban mo. So, pwedeng ang gawin dito ng Next Play Evos is to have a hero that is the usual, yung masakit na siya for early part of the game pa lang hanggang umabot dun sa may bandang dulo.
Well, speaking of bandang dulo, let's talk about how Next Play Evos needs to answer sa mga problema ng game number 1. It was the vision eh. Yung specific replay nung kanina kung saan nagsimula yung analysis ni Reptar, yung pagsilip dun ni H2 sa bush, yun yung things na pwede lang masolusyonan eh. It was the vision na pwedeng ibigay sa jungler.
Oo, yung Ruby pick nila sobrang ganda eh. Sadyang hindi lang nakakasabay doon sa panggugulo na ginagawa nga ni Nuts. So, kahit na maganda yung hero picks nila, meron sila ditong answer doon sa pwedeng panggulo. Ang ginagawa naman dito ng RSG pagdating sa playstyle, talagang mas madami yung mag-e-effort na mang-disrupt nga doon sa jungling ng Next Play Evos. And for this one, dito sa game number 2, para makabawi, parang sa draft, hindi mo masasabing malaki yung kailangan baguhin eh. Ang ganda lang nung naging banning.
Okay na eh.
Oo, okay yung ginawa ng dalawang teams eh. Na ang pansin ko lang dito, wala sila naging sagot talaga sa Uranus. Wala silang burst damage na kayang na i-pick off kagad yun. Yung Diroth na ban eh. Yun yung napakaganda from RSG.
Well, so speaking of control kanina, Santi, control ni Nats yung left side of the camp of Next Play Evos. They know that yung Next Play could be forced to attempt or to take care of the gold lane na lang. Yun yung naging target. That was the exact trap from minute 1 to 5.
Para siya naging clock na pag gumagalaw si Nuts, automatic gumagalaw din yung ibang areas of the map.
Yeah.
And nice reaction yun for RSG. So, ang pwedeng gawin dito ng Next Play Evos is yung nabanggit ni Santi na burst. Kasi kanina, more on tempo. And if you are into a tempo type of lineup, yung mga ibang heroes mo is on the scaling side. Yes, may scaling din for RSG, but the difference is meron mas panggulo, kumbaga, for the side of RSG. So it's something na pwede ding parang mix and match for Next Play Evos na pwede natin itong kuhanin if ever na ito yung hero pool ni Nuts. Pwedeng ito muna i-secure natin para hindi na nila ito kuhanin. Yung parang magko-cross out ka, pero mas maganda yung pick for you.
Yeah, they need to secure also kung sino talaga yung target nila for side of the RSG. Sabi nyo kanina, madaming ma-open kung unahin nila si Nats. So for side of the RSG, pwede lang bawasan dito either yung hero si Demon Kite kanina or level down the gold lane options.
Oo naman. Pwedeng.
Okay yung pagsagot mo doon, Santi.
Para may kilig ah.
Wala.
Okay
Sabi
ka lang?
ko, okay lang.
Ang ganda ng pagsagot ni Santi eh.
Siyempre, oo naman, nag-agree ako eh.
Grabe
Oo,
na.
yung gold lane. Pansin ko rin. For Kosei and Donut kasi, yung matchup nila parang nagkaroon doon ng unahan and yung Beatrix pick na sinagot ng RSG, parang na somehow, doon sa first pick, binibait nila yung Next Play Evos na, sige, kuha kayo ng Fanny. Pag hindi nyo naman kinuha yan, amin yan.
Kasi 2 picks eh.
Oo.
So, ang pwede nyo sabihin, ang sinasabi mo dito sa Ati, iba na nila si Fanny.
Oo, yun.
Kaysa magkaroon pa ng opportunity for both na pagagawan siya.
Yeah. Maybe something na hindi ganun ka-dependent sa purple na pwedeng
Pwede,
maging...
pwede.
Well, Hindi na ba yung di ba, Hayabusa?
Hindi. Even the Ling. Hindi siya naging choice for RSG. Kasi ang goal nga talaga nila, alam nilang guguluhin lang nila yung Fanny. That is definitely a hard game for Fanny. Pero alam mo rin na pinili yon ng Next Play Evos. Kasi ayaw nga nila mahawakan dito ni Demon Kite.
It was a good decision
Oo,
actually.
maganda.
Either to get kasi, kaysa naman, kung hindi mo kinuha,
Makukuha ng kabila.
nakuha na ng kabila, tapos automatic, may mas maganda pa kasi 2 picks.
Oo, may kasama yung
May
Fanny.
kasama pa
Pwede
yung
yung
Fanny.
Kufra, di ba? Pwede lang itandem
So
yun.
good decision din talaga na kinuha nila. So ang better na decision naman ngayon is wag na lang tayo mag-Fanny at all.
Tanggalin
Or
na lang.
tanggalin na lang natin. But same with Next Play Evos, they will ban out Valentina. And this time around, Natalia. Same pa din with RSG. Earlier, ang binan nila, or pangalawang ban pa lang nila yung Natalia. Pero ito, umpisa pa lang.
Malalaman natin dito sa bigayan pa lang, yung trade kung ano ba talagang kaya mong, kumbaga, tapatan sa lane mo.
And take note surprisingly, RSG, pinili pa rin nilang mapunta doon sa second pick side. Nandito sila sa red side pa rin. Kasi sila na sana yung may choice na mag-first pick eh.
Yeah.
Pero sabi nila, mas effective yung nangyari kanina sa game 1, stay tayo dito sa red side para dalawa ulit yung kuha natin sa hero.
Ang kinagandahan kasi ngayon, since dalawa yung makukuha mo na heroes, yung isa mong hero is para makuha na agad yung hindi na-ban. Kasi ang dami na mga na-open ngayon na mga heroes na napakaganda with certain playstyles. Now, for RSG, they will ban out Julian. Para naman sa Next Play Evos, it's going to be the Akai. So there's a possibility na makarinig ulit tayo ng Fanny for a game, and it's going to be Faramis. Now, for RSG, they could opt again on banning 1-1 since it was banned earlier by the same team. So again, if ever that Next Play Evos this time around will focus on a different priority pick,
To me.
pwedeng
Ayun.
Beatrix.
Wala, na-deny na mismo. Hindi nila ibibigay comfort pick ni Donut.
Pwedeng Beatrix. Ang RSG, pwede silang kumuha ng Fanny and Kufra.
Oo, yun naman yung delikado pag hindi mo pinik yung Fanny dito. Ito nga going back again doon sa nangyari nung game 1, inulit lang ng RSG yun. Parang nilalagay nila yung Next Play Evo sa tight spot para mag-decide. Ano nga ba kukunin nyo? Beatrix ba? Bibigyan nyo na bang hero si Donut? Or kukuha kayo ng hero? And
Pakito.
dati sa Pakito. So open ang Fanny, ang Kufra, even the Beatrix. So pwedeng itandem na nila. Pero,
Palitan pa din.
oo, may mga teams na komportabling mag-Fanny, even may Kufra. So pwede yung Bea Fanny muna for RCH.
Bea Fanny, para more secured na yung damage nila. Meron na silang jungler, meron pa silang gold lane.
Yeah. Well, that be the option nga ngayon ng RSG? Pero ngayon, we could still consider for Next Play Evos na flex pick pa rin tong Pakito.
Oo, pwede XP, pwede
Ako kasi ginagamit
jungle.
dito ni James eh.
James or ni H2. Pero ang sinabi nyo dito could be the gold lane prayo na ba ng RSG. Open pa rin ng Beatrix though. Still, na pwede maging option dito for Kusei.
Pwede na kuhanin actually, Esmeralda.
Oh, there you go.
Yun na,
Ayun,
Fanny
Fanny. Sir, what's your command?
Tama ba? Narinig natin dito for RSG.
Fanny Bea.
Yes,
Oh, diba?
it's the gold lane and the jungle pick for RSG.
Kung maging dalawang heroes natin ngayon, si Fanny yung naka-zoom na new hair, new me ng Beatrix.
Tingin ko naman.
Oh, wait. Hindi ba sila magpinsan? May resemblance eh, no?
Meron.
Meron.
Similar lang, hairstyle lang. Pero tingin ko Kufra, maganda dito for Mycophobia.
Ayun, Kufra.
Kung pinahirapan ng RSG kanina yung Next Play Evos, pwede sabihin dito ni Miko, ako naman, papahirapan kita, Demon Kite.
Ibabalik naman yung nangyari ng early game.
Ano naman ang gagawin nila ngayon? Parang continuous knock-up. Yung parang ginagawa nung ibang teams na poke ng isa, tapos tuloy-tuloy lang, tapos bitaw ng bitaw. Good to be Claude.
Yeah, Claude, yes, a good option na pwede nilang ibalik din for Next Play Evos sa kanilang lineup. What will be the tank pick na ba ito for Next Play? Sa counter ng Fanny.
Oo,
Cecilion.
Cecilion.
Oh,
How's
okay.
this?
So ganito ang gustong gawin ng Next Play Evos. Since si Pakito is a type of jungler that is not buff dependent at scaling as ang Cecilion, there could be an early bigayan of the buff. Kasi para mas mabilis yung pag-scale dito or pag-clear na minion wave for Cecilion. So pwede sila mag-all-in na pagbigay ng damage dito or opportunity for Claude and Cecilion. And later on, these are going to be the heroes na magdi-deal ng damage for Next Play Evos, as the function of Pakito will be more on the front line with the crowd control.
So for Next Play Evos, meron na silang lane support na pwede maging aid dito sa mid lane at gold lane. Pero nagbabalik na naman isang comfort pick ni Nats, ang Esmeralda for RSG.
signature hero to ni Nats eh. Feeling ko yung naging stance niya after MSC, Esmeralda yun eh.
Oo. May nakita ako kanina sa audience na may hawak-hawak yung picture niya na yun.
Oo, diba?
Yung kinuha na yung trophy na hindi pa nga ina-announce.
Oo, yung
Pero right
stance
niya
niya
yun,
yun eh.
nanalo sila eh.
Diretso lang eh, no? But yung for RSG, sobrang ganda talaga nung Dirot ban nila. Kasi imagine, ito na sana yung maganda mo na pangsagot. Although we could see match-ups dun sa may X-Plane with Paquito and Esmeralda, wherein ang nananalo, minsan,
Esme.
palitan.
Oo, palitan eh.
Palitan.
Depende pa rin talaga sa ikot yung mga ganks. Kasi malaking factor din yun na pag natulungan mo na yung teammate mo, steady na siya eh. Kayang-kaya niya nang mag-turn at talagang mang-poke din. Pero for the ban of Next Play Evos, Lilia ang tatanggalin nila. So tingin ko choice pa rin yung Kufra for Next Play Evos. So possible last ban from RSG. Dahil nga ang ganda nung damage follow-up ng Next Play Evos. So isang setter yung kailangan nila dito for a hero dito ni Mycophobia.
Ang
Pwede na maging option to for RSG. Depende na lang kung may ibang direction sila dito.
O kumbaga parang ang nangyari din dito, kaya hindi nilalabas at hindi pa nagpipick ng hero for Miko kasi there's a possibility still for RSG to ban out Tiki. So, pag nilabas kasi nila, kunwari, they take Atlas, they take Kufra, and the other setup heroes. The problem here is, kapag binan yung, pagka nakuha yung
Digi
Digi,
agad.
so parang yung isang slot mo for the ban, ibigay mo na sa Digi para up until now, hindi pa open yung mga initiators mo for specific team.
Balmond.
So, Balmond. So, Balmond dito, since binibigyan na naman ng direction again, yung parang dinadrive mo yung pinaka-function ng hero sa nakalatag. Kasi, ang nangyayari ngayon is more on the flex.
Di pa rin nagpapalabas ng direction dito yung dalawang mostly for NXPE no? It's good. Kaso ang nangyari dito, they also need to secure ang pwedeng maging factor dito kung paano ma-delay din ang side ng RSG. Because kung di nila ibibigay ito, either they steal it on the last pick, dahil red side nga ngayon ng RSG, nasanabi mo kanina Santi, pero it checks kung ano ba talaga ang magko-complete sa composition nila.
Sa tingin ko kasi, ang hirap pa rin basahin eh. Nasabi mo na nga kanina OSX na flex yung Paquito, di ba? So, hindi natin alam kung kay James yan or kay H2. Kagura ni Aqua ang tatanggalin dahil doon sa burst niya na kayang ibigay yung mobility. Ang ganda ng pwesto ni Aqua kanina. Fourth pick ng RSG, wala pa silang hero para kay Light. Wala din sila ditong hero for Aqua.
Pwedeng gumamit ng Franco or Atlas.
Pwede din Cho, actually.
Uy, kay Light,
Kay Light, no?
Kay Light,
May 3 options tayo for RSG.
Cancel agad dun sa sa Claude. Pero Eve,
lahat ng ibinibitaw sa kanila. But for Blacklist International,
Ano ito ba?